There are some distressed stocks at Ohio State. And if you want to invest, the time might be right. That's Bill Landis, Jeremy Birmingham. I'm Austin Ward. Here's what I'm going to do.
Okay.
I have 3 things in this portfolio right now. They look pretty rough. You have 10 units to invest in these 3. You can take 0 of something. You could take 10 of something. You could just take 3 and a third of all 3. But we're going to see where your confidence level is in a bounce back in November. And we're going to start, Bill. You have 10 units to spend. The offensive line is now up for grabs. Did I explain the concept right?
Yeah. So in my confidence in it getting better.
No, how much are you willing to spend, Bill?
You only have 10.
My wallet's in my backpack.
Yeah, this is the daily. It's Wednesday. It's a stonkwatch.
Yeah.
Let me get that out of the way.
It's hard because I don't know what else is on the table too. So
you want me to put all 3 out there and then we can go that way?
No, I like this way better.
All right.
I like the mystery of it. I would put maybe 2 units on the idea. I actually think Ohio State might be forced into putting a better configuration out there now. If I'm to assume that Donovan Jackson's going to move to left tackle and probably Austin Saravel is going to play left guard, that to me is taking your top 6 and then condensing it down to the 5 you have left now with Josh Simmons' injury. So I still don't know that long term I think it's going to be a great situation because having to learn how to play left tackle on the fly seems like it'd be pretty difficult for Donovan Jackson, especially if the first game doing so is now against Penn State and Indiana has some pretty good defensive linemen and then whatever might come after that Big Ten championship or otherwise. So I'm not extremely bullish on the idea of this offensive line being quite championship caliber, but maybe they can patch some things together in a way that is good enough with some of the shuffling that I'm anticipating. So I'll place Dos Unitos.
Ohio State won a national championship with Darryl Baldwin at right tackle 10 years ago, a guy that started the season playing defensive tackle. Okay?
It did.
You can find a way to make things work. That said, Saturday was fairly discouraging for Ohio State, but it's Positive Wednesday.
Oh.
And we're going to be positive. I would be more inclined to put 4 units on this if I was confident or if I was told Ian Moore's our left tackle from now on and we're just going to ride it out.
Oh, really?
Wow.
You want to go true freshman style?
I just say screw it. Is he?
You want to go true freshman at Beaver Stadium?
I do.
At Beaver Stadium.
I do because you're going to need to help him. No matter who's out there is going to get help, and I just feel like it's time to lean into the future.
Oh my!
Is there any reason in the world to think that Ohio State is doing itself or Donovan Jackson a service by putting him at left tackle when he's never played it in college?
I mean, I think more so than playing a true freshman.
I disagree.
Yeah.
That true freshman's been repping at left tackle all year. So I understand it's fearful, but I watched Isaiah Prince play at Penn State in 2016, and he gave up 6 sacks.
How did that work out, though?
I don't think it's going to work out that much different, no matter who's out there on Saturday against Abdul Carter.
Really?
If the Buckeyes don't offer some real help in the form of Bennett Christian, again, who played 12 snaps on Saturday against Nebraska, which made 0 sense to me. But
that feels like where the help should come from, not like.
I think I'm going to put about 2 units on this offensive line until I know who's out there. And I would rather know it was Ian Moore, who I think has real long-term upside, than somebody who is a stopgap. And I'd rather ride it out. But that's just me. I'm a sicko.
Dos Unitos again.
Because I'm a positive person, and I believe in the future. I believe the children are our future. If you teach them well and let them lead the way.
Okay.
Show them all the beauty they possess inside.
Uh-huh.
Give them a sense of pride.
Okay.
To make it easier.
I think we're going to get a recording strike on here. It's too many lyrics that you just said right there.
If no one has to watch this,
it might be public domain.
Yeah.
I think I would put Trace Unitos on this idea. And
Weird. Your answer is different. Guy who knows what else is coming.
well, I was going to just wait till the end because I do know what all 3 of the things we were going to talk about are. I thought maybe that would be fair, but I only bring that up because I think I might have just slightly more confidence in Ohio State's coaching staff to engineer an answer, even if the personnel, it's not going to be great. I don't think that there's going to be a situation the rest of the year without Josh Simmons where you would just be able to go out there and line up and count on a left tackle or maybe any position other than center where you know that you're going to go win one-on-one. You don't have to devote extra help. You don't have to. I think that this team can get creative enough to scheme past the issue.
That's why you hired Chip Kelly, right?
That's right.
Yeah, it's a good point to make because I also don't like I don't think Chip called his best game against Nebraska. I don't think that means he's like bad at his job, right? I think there is a decent chance that he finds interesting ways to help Ohio State.
He's pretty much made his career by taking undermanned offensive lines and turning them into successful units with a creative run game, right?
Yeah. And it's not it is not just a Chip Kelly situation. We've made this point, and I think by now people probably have created a drinking game about it when we mention the offensive line and talk about the fact that it's not just Justin Fry, not just Chip Kelly, but also Tim Drevno being here and Mike Salini in a collective effort. Like if this group, if this brain power, and then you can also throw in Carlos Laughlin's impact with the running backs, like if they couldn't come up with a solution, or Keenan Bailey with what the work that he's done with Bennett Christian and making G. Scott a more complete tight end.
Almost serviceable as a blocker.
Yeah, who's not quite there as a blocker yet, but like some of the things that they've done, they're working around at tight end. Would you say that there's an absolute no doubt NFL player playing for Ohio State tight end right now? You would say no, but I think that unit has met the challenge, is meeting the challenge going forward, and I think that it may well be just as simple as dialing up more RPO and like hoping that you can hang on with one extra tight end, maybe assisting the left tackle. Like, I don't think it takes a dramatic overhaul for them to get to that point.
No, I think more RPO, more quarterback run. It did kind of feel like with Zemahalski in the game against Nebraska that they thought they might be able to, I think clearly, be able to get by without having to kind of rethink the way they did things. And now I would imagine they're not feeling that anymore, especially with Penn State coming up. So I think that's all a reasonable take. I think Chip Kelly could help soften the impact of that a little bit. Yeah.
Now the problem is because I invested more than you two, I may be at a disadvantage moving forward because either one of you might feel a lot better about Ohio State's defensive line generating pressure without a blitz.
I'm going to put no units on that.
No units on that.
Yeah.
Okay. Never mind.
I don't know that I see it. I think the fact that they didn't blitz like incessantly against Nebraska, but they definitely blitz more than I think Jim Knowles has shown himself to be comfortable with the last couple of years. Comfortable with like here, not at Oklahoma State. He was letting it hang and blitzing on every down. So maybe he welcomes the opportunity. I don't know that I see anyone on that defensive line right now playing well enough for me to say like, oh yeah, if they just try to do it with 4, they'll be fine. I think they're going to have to blitz, and maybe I probably feel better about their ability to generate pressure via scheme coming off the Oregon game, but I don't know that I feel great about it with just a 4-man straight rush.
Do you think that that's a sustainable way to survive for Ohio State? Because what you're doing is putting a lot of stress on that secondary, which is stretched thin already without Lathan Ransom.
I think it could be. I think it could be. Like it'll scare you, I think, against an Oregon if you see Oregon again, or any team that has really dynamic receivers that can run by and behind or past your defensive backs. But maybe not in most of the games that Ohio State's going to play moving forward.
Okay.
I'm only going to put 2 units on it because I've seen it happen. I've seen Jack Sawyer win one-on-one reps. I watched him absolutely dominate in that Missouri game when no one else on the defense.
Again, against a good offensive line.
Against a good offensive line. I've seen Tyleik Williams dominate games. Haven't seen it this year, but I have seen it. So I don't know why, and we joked about it on Tuesday Snap Judgments, but I don't understand the wide 9 stuff that's going on at Ohio State. That's certainly not Jack Sawyer's strength. If he continues to line up that way, and I don't know if they just decide to do that or if they're being told to do that, I don't know. I'm not going to pretend I do.
There's no way that they're doing it on their own.
They're definitely
so maybe at some point someone's like, hey, that doesn't work for these 2 guys because they're not Chase Young. They're not able to get into the backfield that fast without doing that or while doing that. So I'm hopeful that there's going to be a moment where someone reviews film and goes, actually, this does not work at all for these guys. But I have seen them do it.
Yeah.
I have seen Jack Sawyer win one-on-one reps. I have seen Tyleik Williams not just impact a game, but dominate a game. I've seen JT Tuimoloau make individual plays that make you go, wow, that was pretty amazing. But I haven't seen it this year. But it's Positive Wednesday, baby.
So you're putting two
I'm putting
ducats on
two
that?
whole units on that bad boy.
Okay.
Because I
might have to come up with a fourth stock because you guys are not going to like what you've got
I
left
believe-
right now.
I got 8 units.
You know what?
Burning a hole in
Sometimes
my
if you
pocket.
don't spend money, you make money.
Oh, is that how that goes?
Yeah.
I thought that scared money didn't make money.
Oh, well, you know what doesn't make money? Losing money.
Huh. That's not your gambling philosophy, though.
No,
Mr. Parlay.
My gambling philosophy is lose it all.
I think I'm probably at like a 4 for this possibility,
Okay.
which sounds for loyal listeners like that can't be right. This guy is playing it both sides. He's a hypocrite. But it's because of what Berm said. I've seen second half of the season emergence of Jack Sawyer. I have seen JT Tuimoloau do things that humans have never done before at defensive end 2 years ago in Happy Valley, one of the greatest performances of all time. Maybe he did set the bar too high for himself, but
he's the one who set the bar.
I know.
He did it.
I know. I'm not saying that's why we expect to see it more. I'm not saying he should do that every single week, but there wasn't
but he should.
There wasn't a time in the last
He should try.
since then in the last 2 years where he's even come all that close, in my opinion. So, I think Tyleik Williams is playing at a high level consistently. I think that Ty Hamilton is a great complementary piece for that. I think there's a next wave coming with Caden McDonald, with Edric Houston. If they play Caden Curry more, which this has now become that point where I really don't understand it. I think every time you put Caden Curry on the field, you're seeing things that should be really exciting and encouraging. And why that's not translating to more snaps, more opportunities, a different alignment in the Rushman package. I really don't know. That's not way above my pay grade. I don't make those decisions. But I don't think it's a crazy bet to think that those people, it is not a lack of talent. It is not a lack of buy-in, in my opinion, from someone like Jack or Tyleik Williams. Like I think those guys and Ty Hamilton, they care deeply, and you can see it. Like the passion they have for Ohio State, the way they play. Eventually, it feels like at some point that wall is just going to fall down. Like they're going to break through. Now, it will take schematic adjustments. Like when we're just talking specifically about it being 4-man without blitz pressure, like maybe Bill is right, and there is no chance that could happen.
I'd like to amend my answer when you're done.
Okay, but I mean, the possibility certainly exists, and it's not outlandish to think that people with their skill set and their amount of experience are going to be able to make an impact at some point. But there is a part that Ryan Day keeps bringing up over and over again, which I don't think is a coincidence, which is about putting players in the right positions to make plays. And whether that is my bafflement with the Rushman package or Berm focusing on the wide 9 or both or all of the above, once you put those people in a spot where they can thrive, I absolutely still believe that they can.
Yeah, I don't think that I or anybody who covers this team should actually probably be projecting a situation where you say you are more confident in the offensive line to like figure things out without Josh Simmons than you are the defensive line.
I said I would tell you what they
still has
were.
4 guys who are going to play in the NFL regardless of what you think of them generating pressure. So I'll change my 0 to a 3 and put more on that than I did on the offensive line. And they ran more like stunts in games and stuff, even with a 4-man rush against Nebraska, which they absolutely needed to do. The wide 9 stuff is equally puzzling to me, but
probably not going to run a lot of successful stunts in a wide 9, though.
yeah, I don't.
Does that make it harder?
For me, it seems like it would, but I don't coach the defensive line, I guess. I think they are trying some different things that probably, even with a 4-man rush, should yield some better results. So I'll change the 0 to a 3 and leave myself with 5 units for whatever this last thing is.
All right.
I think I'll give you 2 options instead.
No.
So the
Don't change the
planned
rules.
third was to have 1 on offense, 1 on defense, and then the entirety of the special teams. And I don't know that anyone needs to invest
Punt.
that heavily on that. So how about this? Talk about either one. The run game I thought was just going to be too tied in with the offensive line, but maybe it's separate. And then the special teams, which I think is now become as much of a disaster as it was under Parker Fleming. So maybe Parker Fleming was not solely to blame for that.
I don't have a whole lot of confidence or belief that the special teams operation is suddenly going to become a weapon for this team. I think it just sort of is what it is. But if there was a run game component to this, I probably would, and maybe it's just to confirm my own priors. I would put
double down.
Yeah, I would put the remainder of what I have on that being certainly better than it has been the last two games, right? Like 60 yards, whatever it was against Nebraska, and aside from the two long Travion Henderson runs against Oregon, also pretty ineffective.
25 of those yards were by Will Hutton.
Yeah, so like between Travion and Quinshon Judkins and like Chip Kelly's background, and I think they will find a way to put a much better product out there when it comes to running the ball. Maybe it won't be the 250 yards per game that I was envisioning before the season started, but I think I am willing to say that it will be more than 60 yards per game moving forward. So I would say of the three options that were laid out, if I can exclude the special teams, better rushing efficiency and explosivity is probably the thing I feel best about.
Special teams to me is one position on the field, and I realize there's multiple positions on special teams, but what I voiced on Monday at Roosters about this entitlement that sort of feels like it's seeping through not just Ohio State's program, but everywhere around the country. Like, you got to want it. We think back to Terry McLaurin and the work he did as a gunner at Ohio State. Like, that's not for fun. That's not because he's getting a lot of attention. It's because, like, I want to do this for my teammates.
Yeah.
And some of it is, like, we're not seeing those types of punts anymore because, for whatever reason, Nick McClarty can't figure out how to get the ball to his foot fast enough, or Joe McGuire. I mean, you know, we laughed.
He did have a 61-yarder on Saturday. It rolled about 30, but
I guess whatever gets you there.
Yeah.
This little knockdown 7-iron.
That's right.
But it just seems like special teams, like, now that there's all these other issues popping up for, like, heading into this season, the idea was all of our other coaches are going to split off some time, and we're going to figure this out because all these other things should be perfectly fine and good. And, welp, they're not. So now you have coaches who are assistant coaches whose own houses are a mess in some instances, and most instances there's at least some dirt to figure out.
Yeah, Brian Hartline's house is pretty clean.
Brian Hartline's house is pretty clean, but he's handling punt returning, right? So Caleb Downs is back there. So you got your answer there. He's going to return a punt for a touchdown at some point. Drill down. But the rest of the guys, I don't know.
Sneak peek.
I just don't know that there's enough time being dedicated to special teams. And you and Doug talked about it on Kings of Columbus, the Sunday sound off. Like, are they practicing it? Because
not in a way where it seems like they have some stuff like in their back pocket.
I'm watching. I certainly don't want to ever make anyone believe that you should watch the Pittsburgh Steelers and enjoy it. But they've blocked a kick the last 3 weeks. They've returned a punt for a touchdown, I think, 2 of the last 3 weeks. Like, you can change a game on special teams.
You
like,
can?
If you block a punt, like the statistics of winning a game and
Is that
blocking
in the
a punt,
plan to win?
I believe it is.
Oh, my God.
So, like, there's got to be some commitment put toward it, and there's none. So all 6 of my remaining dollars go to the run game.
Yeah, I think that's probably the right spot for it.
Because Travion and Quinshon are good enough. Now, I do have a little asterisk there. I worry that a couple weeks of nothing being there really gets into the head of a guy like Travion, who early in his career tried to do too much, and I worry that he might try to do too much.
I thought that happened to Quinshon on Saturday. Like, I felt like he was trying to do too much in a way that reminded me of Travion the previous couple of years. Like, and that's not a spot that you want anybody to be in. And maybe he can play himself out of that. Maybe he's experienced enough that it won't become a recurring habit for him. Maybe it was the flow of frustration in that particular game. I mean, he made a tremendous play, adjusting and catching the game-winning touchdown for Ohio State. So, maybe that won't happen for him.
There are ways you can get the running backs involved. Give me a little quick toss. Give me something else. Give me a screen game. Give me something. Give me a wheel route to Travion. Like, it's like basketball. Sometimes you just need to get a layup, and let's see, then you get the confidence back. But I have much more confidence that those dudes are going to right that ship than I do that special teams, which has been an unmitigated disaster for 4 years or longer, is just going to magically become a game changer for Ohio State.
Yeah, and I think for anyone who will be thinking that we're being contradictory about the offensive line stuff. At least for me, like my concerns on offensive line are more about pass protection than they are run blocking. Not to say the run blocking was awesome against Nebraska, because it wasn't, but I thought many of the issues that popped up were more in the passing game.
I think it's related to like why I think the defensive line is eventually going to break through and maybe win a game for Ohio State. Like you have Quinshon Judkins and Travion Henderson. Like even if it's not blocked perfectly, I like their chances of eventually, breaking a long run. Or even when Ohio State's run game was stagnant a little bit a year ago, and Travion gets one window of opportunity and makes Notre Dame pays. Makes Notre Dame pay.
He did it against Penn State, didn't he, in 2022?
He's got
with a broken foot.
Yeah.
So both of them have the ability, I think, to do that. That's why I would think that there has to still be some confidence. Again, it's creativity from the scheme, creativity from the coaching staff, which I think is probably more the strength of Chip Kelly and Ryan Day in that group than right now from what we've seen with the Jim Knowles and Larry Johnson disconnecting anything on defense. Like that to me feels like it's going to have to come from individual brilliance, but the combination of those two things on offense makes me think that they're going to be okay even without a healthy offensive line.
I'm putting less on the offensive line because while I realize you lose Josh Simmons and that's a big deal, I saw 4 other guys on Saturday who looked like they didn't know plays. And I don't know how that happened just by losing Josh Simmons, because I watched offensive linemen running the wrong way and pulling the wrong way and not blocking someone at all, or again, forgetting, which was the big deal the last 2 years, like climbing to the second level. There was none of that on Saturday. And it was like a weird traveling back in time to the last 2 years.
It did feel that way, but I also like
But I know you lose your best player and then things get wonky.
And they've also, like, I don't think they ever did that last year. And like for most of this season, I think they have. Like the last 2 games, they definitely have not. And maybe that we should read more into that.
Even against Oregon, I don't think. I mean, until Simmons went out, the run game was clicking a little bit.
Yeah, it just fell apart after that.
So that's why my offensive line is at 2.
Yeah.
Am I a sucker for believing that, like not in that, not in all those other ways?
Are you going to say the special teams?
Yeah, I
cut
the Jim Tressel stuff, like the offseason, to like spreading around the coaching staff. Like, am I dumb for believing that was going to yield
results? You're just a little naive for believing they're going to wait till week 9 to break it out.
No, I mean, I thought it was going to yield better results too, and it just kind of feels the same.
You can put all your remaining into whatever you want, but
I'm not putting any on the special teams.
There's zero evidence to suggest that the special teams has gotten better.
Oh, you thought I wanted to invest in it? No, I don't. I don't want to. No, I don't at all.
You just wanted to trick us into doing it.
Yeah,
I mean, you think about the focus.
I was always going to do a bonus 4th category, and it was going to be all mine.
This episode of the podcast daily is probably running long now, but
is it?
If you think back to week 1, remember the sheer indignance of Ryan Day that they didn't return the opening kickoff of the season for a touchdown?
Yeah.
There's no. And Saturday, it's Spencer Holbrook said, "How are you confident in your kicker, who you've let kick like 1 field goal?" And he missed it by 30 yards. I don't. And he said, yes, I'm confident in the kicker. I don't.
He's not there. Do not believe that. Bill and I watched in pregame warmups. I've never seen Ohio State do this. It was the last kick. They kicked from 38 yards.
Yeah.
Jaden Fielding banged it off the left upright. They went down to, they were already lined up to do the punt. And Ryan Day made them all go back there and do it again. And the cooler that the football hit on the second one, I thought there's no way that he possibly made that. But
I was taking my cue from the south stands. They seemed excited.
But they were running out of time.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to say there's no way that they have confidence.
He missed that 1 field goal from 42 yards against Nebraska worse than Noah Ruggles missed the 50-yarder against Georgia with the national championship on the line. And I don't know how that's possible.
I don't know that they have a tremendous confidence in either of the kicking operation or punting or field goal operations, which on one hand is bad, right? But on the other, like if it forces them to go for more 4th downs, I think they should go for it. Maybe it's not the worst thing in the world, but you'd like to have a reliable field goal kicker.
We are really going to dive back in here. Like they tried to get Graham Nicholson, the kid from Miami who's now at Alabama. They tried to get him the kicker. There are, a lot of these issues, like Ohio State has so much discussion all offseason. Oh, well, the Buckeyes went and did all this in the transfer portal. We all know the truth, okay? Six transfers. not taking Carter Smith at Indiana, for example.
So what was the deal with that? Because I've seen a lot of people ask about that. If we're going to have an hour-long daily, I'll ask you, was there actually an opportunity?
There was conversation. There was conversation, and it was just decided to stick with where things are. And so
that's great because he's one of the best tackles in the Big Ten this year.
So, like, if knowing full well heading into this season that you were going to have a potential depth issue at tackle, how do you? And again, I don't know all the details. I don't know what Carter's people were looking for NIL wise. I'm confident they
could have got it.
That Indiana couldn't have gone crazy. Indiana was replacing a coaching staff, and I'm sure Coach Signetti came in there and wowed him and his family immediately. But like, he's a kid from Columbus, Ohio, who wanted an Ohio State offer pretty darn bad out of high school, and then wanted another opportunity last December. And there was conversation about it, and it was just like, well, we'll just keep seeing what happens, see what happens.
You're making me angry.
And it didn't happen.
This wasn't what you were expecting.
No. And so, like, you're talking about kids in Ohio, ostensibly in Ohio mid-level programs, or kids from Ohio who are not on this roster, that would have made a real big difference right now. And I think sometimes this program is just a little guilty of overthinking things.
I think we were maybe guilty of over-talking things on the podcast daily for Wednesday.
I didn't mean it.
But it's okay. If you made it this far, thank you and congratulations. This has been the podcast daily for Wednesday.
Upbeat Wednesday.
Distressed stonks. We are investing because there's still a championship opportunity in front of this team. There's a big game on Saturday at Penn State. There's the entire month of November where we're going to find out if this is a contender. Thanks for joining us. That's Bill Landis and Jeremy Birmingham. I'm Austin Ward. We'll talk to you later.